Hi, uh, I'm Gordon from Got Question. So yeah, we'll take it through this. We'll take you guys through the presentation. Okay, next slide, please. So yeah, so the challenge that we had, right, was the fact that there are refugees in camps. The challenge that we're doing, right, is under Marhabtech. Yeah, Marhabtech and uh Bobby, who is in the chat as well. He also was one of the challenge owners. So yeah, anyway, refugees in camps, they don't have access to proper education, and they're hampered by intermittent connectivity. So I think the best way to explain this is next slide, please. Well, this is the solution statement, but next slide. Okay, so imagine you're a refugee and you're inside a camp. You have access to a mobile phone and you have mobile data, but the mobile data is horribly intermittent. So for instance, right, if you were using the internet get your um to get your education from, and what if the internet suddenly goes down? Next slide. Yeah, if the internet goes down, then everybody doesn't have access uh to education, to education materials, and that's a very big challenge that the refugees are currently facing. So what we decided to do was to build a Wi-Fi hotspot. So this is actually a device, a very durable device that's weatherproof, um, solar powered and powered by a large battery that actually creates a private Wi-Fi network, a strong private Wi-Fi network. This Wi-Fi network does not connect to the internet. So it's basically a completely self-contained standalone device. And so what these people can do is that in the event that the internet goes down, next slide, uh, all the people who are connected to this education internet, or technically the correct term is intranet, everybody who's connected to this Wi-Fi network will still be able to access educational materials at high speed. And this is the implementation that we decided to do. Is there a next slide? Sorry. Yeah, so this is a schematic that we sort of came up with. So it is basically a very low powered computer, a very low powered small size computer called a Raspberry Pi. It's connected to a battery pack that is powered by a solar panel, and it is also connected to an external Wi-Fi interface, which is powered. So this Wi-Fi interface basically takes the network and boosts it as powerful as possible. And if content needs to be loaded into this machine, it can be done through USB ports. So instead of connecting to the internet and pulling content from there, we decided that would not be the best way to go about it, because internet connectivity is generally really bad in that area, or in the target areas. So the way this is supposed to work is you have a USB drive, you plug the USB drive into this device, and the USB drive pushes the data, or like the new content, into this device, which then broadcasts it on the network. So that's how the implementation of this system is supposed to work. Next slide. Yes. So this is basically this is the software implementation, which I will leave to my colleagues for later. But right now, I would like to show you how the hardware implementation works. So I'm going to share my screen. Hang on. Fingers crossed that this actually works, because we were all up testing it. Yeah, so this, what you're currently seeing here, this is actually the graphical interface of the Raspberry Pi. So right now, it's actually running a web server that is currently running the web app locally in this thing. But then this Raspberry Pi is configured as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So for instance, if I was a refugee, Let me share my phone screen. Another leap of faith. Okay, so this is my phone. If I unlocked it, so if I scroll down and I went to my Wi-Fi network, right, you can see that right now I've connected to the hotspot, and it's called Marhabtech access point. So this is the hotspot. Yeah, and so if I were to go to a web browser here, and I were to type in the address, it would basically bring me to the learning app. So throughout the time constraints of this hackathon, we discovered that there were some components of the web app which were not compatible with the Raspberry Pi device, because the Raspberry Pi device runs on a completely different architecture from a normal computer. So from this point on, I would like to hand it over to my colleagues, Vanessa and Terence, to show you how the software implementation would have worked.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. As we move on to the software implementation, we have to work with the assumption that the Raspberry Pis are all these softwares are running on the Raspberry Pis. Yes, and if you're missed in the chat, Raspberry Pi is not an actual Pi. It is a Pi as in 3.142. Yeah, so it's a computer device. It's a very, very small computer. Yeah, so if you all remember just now, when we talk about this Raspberry Pi, it is two things. It is one, an internet hotspot. It is also a mini computer. So our idea is that we want to store data inside this mini computer locally, and data can be loaded from there as well. So that's why just now you're able to see some quiz app, right? And what this means is that students will also be able to access like their content in their homes within range of this mini computer. And teachers will also be able to drop by different households to view like different students' report. Yeah, while it is unfortunate we cannot actually show you in the Raspberry Pi, we are able to show you locally what it looks like on our computer. So Vance, will you allow me to share screen? Wait. Okay, so this is a sort of like a prototype of our teachers portal, as you can see. So it is a very rough mockup, but the idea is that we want to show you that it is actually possible for us to store some data inside. So for example, we want to look at how much I've scored in the recent test. Apparently I'm very smart, I got all the answers correct. And let's look at Vanessa. Good, but not good enough. So that's the back end. And over at the front, so we want to see. So now imagine with me, Gordon is also in the Raspberry Pi within that network. And he too wants to do something. He too wants to take that quiz or to access some educational materials. So how does it actually look like for him? So imagine this is his phone. He's connected and he'll do the quiz. So they'll ask a very basic, I mean, the questions we can adjust it accordingly. Yeah, some educational questions, probably in the midst of it, later on our education team will talk more about how we can further enhance the education side of this thing. Yeah, so Gordon is doing this quiz now. And unfortunately, Gordon didn't pass. But if let's say a teacher happens to go into Gordon's house and want to take a look at how Gordon did, it is actually possible. Because when the teacher comes back into his house and connects to this Raspberry Pi, you'll say, oh, Gordon, how come you only score 40% for this most recent quiz? A very, very basic prototype. In the education side, they actually have prepared so much more research on what kind of data or what kind of idea do we actually want to show on this dashboard itself, which I'll pass my time over to Ling Zhi to share more with us.
Thank you, Terence. Hi everyone, yeah, I'm Lingzi from the education team. So our team is led by Amanda, together with Richard and myself. Yeah, so whatever the implementation team side has, so these are the things that we are delivering to the students, teachers, as well as the parents. First of all, we would like to emphasize the importance of education for the refugees and why we are doing this. Yeah, in the sense, we will really educate them to help them to be more resilient, in a sense, open-minded, that it will help to build up their personal life to be much more self-sustainable in the future as well. So here you can see there's a picture of the learning center at the refugee camps. I think at the camps, schools, learning center can really provide a safe environment for refugees, especially the young ones, to help them settle down in the new community. And for teachers, they play a very important role because very often they are the one to help the young people to recover from their refugee experiences and help them to feel safe. So we hope to empower them and to make their work more effective. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the solutions on how we can empower the educators, learners, at the same time parents to be more involved in the child's learning. Yeah, next slide, please.
Lingzi, I have to cut you there. We have to move on to Q&A. Maybe we can wrap up and then move on to Q&A.
Wrap up, okay. Yes, so these are the few things that we researched, and as well as the dashboards for teachers, students, as well as for parents. So these are the things that we hope to implement. So basically to give them tools to make their work more effective. Yes, that's about it.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, team. Got questions and good questions. Now we move on to the Q&A segment. From how I'm looking at it, there is a lot of questions for your teams. So for one that is posted on the chat and on Slido, Chris is asking, the content has to be curated and not totally free form content, right?
Maybe to understand the question a bit more, what is a free form?
Maybe Chris, who asked that question, would you like to elaborate a bit? If not, we can move on to the next question first, since there are quite a few coming up. All right, the other question would be, how do you intend to deploy the device or Raspberry Pi in the refugee camp?
I guess I can take that on. Yeah, so I think what we intend to do is preliminarily for now, we will build the device. I think we will build the device offsite first, and then we will ship it into the refugee camp in a ready-made state, because I think it may be quite, it may not be that feasible to actually build it on site, because the configuration as of now is a bit complicated to set up. But once it runs, it should be very foolproof and easy to use. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Gordon. Another question for the team would be, who are the teachers?
From what we've heard from Jermaine, the teachers are those that are like the refugees themselves. Yeah. So there are teachers there locally on the ground. Yeah. So they'll be the ones that will monitor the students' progress also. Yeah.
Thanks, Vanessa. Another question for the team. Would the teacher be able to see other students' data outside the students' homes?
I think I'll answer this. For now, because of the nature of this Raspberry Pi and this very exclusive network that's within the range of the Pi, teachers will not be able to access the students' data out of range of this internet connection. However, we can definitely explore future implementations. For example, when we do collect back the Raspberry Pi, we can actually have actual stable internet access elsewhere and upload all the data back into another online server. And teachers will be able to access from that point, in the future. Yeah. However, within the scope, currently, what we attempt to do is currently not available. Yeah.
Thanks, Terence. So the next question will be, is it assumed that the refugees would need to have a smart device to access the network?
Yeah, I guess I'll take it on. Smart device, right, doesn't, wait, hang on. The question is it assumed that the refugees need a smart device to access the network, right?
Yes.
A smart device in this sense, right, would basically mean a smartphone, or at least a device that has Wi-Fi capabilities and is able to access a web browser. I think at its bare minimum, most, if not all, smartphones made in the past 5 to 7 years should be able to do this. So, if that's the definition of a smart device, then yes, it's if all refugees will need to have something like that in order to access the network.
All right, thanks, Gordon. For the last question, how expensive is the setup for Raspberry Pi and the range it covers? Is it sustainable in terms of cost? And is it practical to give every child a Raspberry Pi?
Okay, I can answer that as well. With the cost of a Raspberry Pi. So right now, right, in terms of what we did, right now the implementation is actually running on a Raspberry Pi that we bought yesterday. The cost of a Raspberry Pi in Singapore, because I bought it individually, is about $100. If we were to put it into that whole setup, it may be about $200, plus minus. But then it is assumed that if this solution were to actually go into production, we would be able to buy in bulk and enjoy economies of scale, and we would be able to get the price of each Raspberry Pi to be probably about $60 to $70 Sing. And the second part of the question, right, is it practical to give every child a Raspberry Pi? The way this device works is every child doesn't need to have a Raspberry Pi. It can just be one Raspberry Pi device that broadcasts over, say, a range of like 50 meters of radius. So the refugees just need to have a smartphone to access the network. It can be maybe 10 to 20 refugees accessing one Raspberry Pi device. So yeah, that is it. Yeah, cool. Oh, by the way, the Raspberry Pi, it doesn't look like a physical Raspberry Pi. It's really a circuit board. I can show you guys if you're interested. But yeah.